On this week's show, we're discussing EA's huge $55 billion buyout and what that means. Ubisoft and Tencent launch their joint venture finally, and Ghost of Yotei, Hades 2 launch into the wild as we celebrate 6 years of this very show. All that and much, much more on this week's GamerGuild Podcast. Good game, everyone, and welcome back to your weekly show, the GamerGuild Podcast, where we get together to round up all of the week's video game news for your listening or viewing pleasure right here on youtube.com/GamerGuildTV, or available up there in the digital clouds on your podcast platform of choice. You just need to search for the GamerGuild Podcast, and you'll find us there every Monday, 8 a.m. when we go live. Your podcast players for the week are myself, Chris, at Arcane Rogue, joined alongside my man of many pixels for 6 years now, Mr. Richie. Welcome back. How are you doing?
Hello, everyone. I'm pretty good.
Feeling
Celebrating 6 years in style.
6 years in style, and we're doing it in good style as well because we're joined by loads of wonderful folks in the live chat. Jin has joined us, Al Davis Music, Hungry Moogle's there as well. No Time Peach just dropped a fantastic super chat as well, £5 super chat. Thank you very much. Says happy anniversary, guys. Have a good show. And Hungry Moogle has been a bronze member for 34 months, so we're celebrating everyone here today at the GamerGuild Podcast, and we do have a great show lined up for you all. Before we get into all that, don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring-a-ding-ding that bell so you're kept in the loop with all the great content we do here on the channel, like this very show, like our weekly live streams, like pretty much everything we do. Richie, retro stuff's up there at the moment. We've got some great plans heading into Christmas and New Year. I've mentioned it before, I've got like all of the James Bond games lined up heading into First Light. I couldn't even remember what it was called then. I was going Project 007. It's been called for so long, I forgot what its actual name was. You know when like the project name becomes the actual name because it's so good.
Project Triangle Strategy.
Yeah, some of them maybe not so good ticking over. Reality V Gaming as well says good afternoon in the chat. Thank you very much. So Richie, we're doing a live show, so it's a little bit different. Anyone listening after the fact, it might sound or feel a little bit different. We'll try and keep it as condensed as possible. I know anyone who listens on their commute or listen to a show regularly, the kids, it's always a bit jarring when things change. I listen to a couple of the IGN weekly gaming podcasts, and when they do like their E3, well, formerly E3 coverage, their Summer Game Fest or the Game Awards, when they do the live shows, they never quite feel the same. The audio's off, they're in a different studio environment. The show's usually shorter because they're reacting off the back of a live broadcast, so they don't have time to compile the notes and everything, so it's a little bit different. So we always try and keep it as succinct as possible because as we said, 6 years we're celebrating. Congratulations to us. But I think our biggest thing to celebrate is the fact that we've never missed an episode in 6 years.
I know.
That's the wildest thing. Through sickness, COVID, family scheduling, work scheduling, news cadence, the entire shutdown of Google Stadia, our platform foundation, we still managed to bring you a weekly podcast every single Monday. So if you've been listening for that long, or almost as long, thank you very much for your support out there. That's what today is all about. Celebrating with you, the wonderful folks who watch our content, because we do this as a hobby. We've been doing it for 6 years, and I guess, Richie, does it feel like 6 years? We started this in our 20s.
Yeah, and now we're in our mid-30s.
I'm 36 now, which is
30.
wild.
I'm still 35.
For now, hanging on there.
For like a month, but
for like a month, yeah. But yeah, it's great to have you all with us today doing this show live. And we like to start every single show with what we've been playing this week. I have a sneaky suspicion there's only one thing we've really been playing this week, and I guess it'll be part of the news, Richie. I like how we both got the reversible cover on as well.
Yeah,
it does look cool. It does look
cool.
The
show.
It does look cool. Yes, Ghost of Yotei is out. That's what we've no doubt been playing. There is a part in the news segment of reviews, but we covered the Metacritic reviews last week, so I guess we'll kind of get into it with our first impressions to kickstart the show. It's still sitting on an 86 on Metacritic. There is some woke agenda-y stuff going on the internet right now. We're not really going to get into that because the internet's angry because it's got a female protagonist. That's about
I've seen people complaining that she doesn't look pretty enough.
Yeah, there was also one thing with a Sucker Punch employee who commented against the shooting that happened in America a couple of weeks back. They were since sacked for things that they said online. We won't get into all that because we're here to talk about games. So, Richie, Ghost of Yotei, how many hours in would you say you are now?
I'm definitely probably over 10, probably close to 15, but I'm not sure because I have a terrible habit of, because I play almost exclusively in my portal.
Mm-hmm.
Have a terrible habit of just turning off my portal when I'm done playing, but that doesn't actually turn off your PlayStation.
It doesn't save.
It's the equivalent of just turning off your controller.
Just turn the TV
so
off.
it just pauses the game, but that ticket's still going in terms of my hours. My hours are always way over overestimated, so I actually don't have a clue how many hours in I am.
That also won't save on your electricity bill either.
No.
But if you go into settings, I reckon you should change your rest mode settings to like if you've got no interactivity in sub 5 minutes, you shut down, just to try and save you those extra little precious minutes. But yeah, I'm the same. Okay. I've left mine a couple of times now when I've been busy with my daughter's needed something, or I've went and like started tea, and like naturally you just pause it and leave it on, and I think the clock runs in the background. So I think my clock at the moment is sitting at 16 hours, but I know I'm nowhere near that. I'm probably closer to 10. Yeah. I would say
it's little things like I put my controller down to go make myself a cup of tea. Then half an hour later, after you've done the hoovering,
you've scrolled through your phone and you've checked all notifications, all that kind of jazz.
Or had a conversation with your partner, suddenly like, all right, that's another like 40 minutes or something added to my time that it wasn't actually playing.
Stop talking to me. I've got games to play. Damn it. But what a fantastic game so far. As I said, I'm about 10 hours in, I reckon. I think we're both pretty much on par with whereabouts. We won't spoil the game or anything here. We'll give just general overview impressions. We both got the platinum in Ghost of Tsushima, I believe. Twice over. Director's cut as well. PS4, PS5. Was that the deal with you?
PS4. I got PS4, PS5.
And Ghost of Yorte is here. Almost 5 years to the day later. I think, as you allude to, it's been our probably most anticipated title of the year. We've had some amazing curveballs building up to this with other titles, which we'll talk about when we get to the Game of the Year awards. But yeah, overall, enjoying it so far. Back in the thick of it. Feels very familiar.
Yeah, it's actually got some criticism for feeling too familiar to Ghost of Tsushima, but I'm like, it's Ghost of Tsushima 2. I don't know what people were expecting really. Yeah, it's got a different plot to it. The set, it's in a different island, but a lot of the combat stuff is going to feel different. Yeah, going to feel the same because it is the sequel, and they have changed up the combat a bit. You don't have your stances anymore. You have a selection of weapons. So which I've done things to change things up.
Which I guess to dig into that bit in particular, because that was one of the things that we praised Ghost of Tsushima for, was the stances and how it embodied, I guess, like Japanese samurai combat. And then for them to just strip that out in this one, for those who don't know, you basically have weapons get swapped in for stances. So it's a similar mechanic. You hold an R2, you have your symbol buttons, and then you choose between like a Yari, which is like a pike.
It's the same mechanic in a different way.
Yeah.
Instead of having different stances, you can have, at the moment, I've got a single katana, dual katana, and the Yari, which is your spear.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm the same. So I've got 3 weapon choices, and your bow. You still get your bow, your long bow and your short bow, and your bombs to throw and stuff. Smoke bomb and fire bomb. I think I've got. I haven't got kunais yet with the throwing stars.
I was just thinking this. I was thinking the same last night when I was playing. Because I haven't played much in terms of the story yet. I've done quite a lot of the side stuff. I feel like I haven't got to the point where she is becoming the ghost of Yorte. Yeah. Like Jin became the ghost of Tsushima. Yeah. And like, I don't think I've got to that bit, so I haven't really got into her moral dilemma that she's going to face. Yeah, with Jin being that compromise between being an honourable samurai but doing what's right for the people of Tsushima, and being torn between them two worlds.
I could certainly see it building towards that. So for the premise who don't know, Ghost of Yorte, it starts off as you play as different characters set 100 years after the events of Ghost of Tsushima. So our late Jin Sakai is no longer with us unless he somehow became immortalized and turned to an actual god or demon of some sort. But yeah, the overall premise of it is young girl, family's murdered by 6 individual evil people, and she wants revenge on them, basically. And that's it. And I think I kind of praised the game for its simplicity in a way. Is it doesn't sugar around with trying to add this like deeper meaning. It's like, no, your family were murdered. You have a vendetta, and you will complete that vendetta. And I think that's what leans into that Ghost, is like she doesn't have the stances of a samurai because she isn't a samurai. She's gone off to south. She's been in battle. She's trained herself up as best she can in any way she can.
She's the daughter of a swordsmith, which that kind of justifies her skill with the sword, because she was trained by her father to use the sword, but she is not a samurai.
Absolutely. And I can see as the game goes on, and as you said, it's beautifully stunning open worlds, some of the best visuals I've seen anywhere. But the open world, back to your point about saying I've not done much of the story, is because similar to you take down one of the villains quite early just to kind of set the tone. And then you go off into this open expanse under Mount Yote, in the shadow of Mount Yote. And the exploration is just so fun, but it's laid out so well. I kind of find myself, I'll do one little thing, and then because there's no real like mini map or anything, you just use the wind. You kind of just find yourself being gravitated towards the next thing, and then the next thing.
Oh, I wonder what that is, and you go.
But it's so natural.
I know it's one of them. I think it's a personal preference thing. Some people prefer to have the open world, follow all the icons on it, and just go around and tick them all off.
Mm-hmm.
I do prefer more like this. I think this strikes a bit balanced. I've criticised Breath of the Wild for being too open and too directionless. I think Ghost of Yotai strikes a nice balance where you do get a sense of exploration without feeling like you're just running around blindly. So I don't know. It's just been really nice to be back in this kind of world, and just I'm engrossed in the side content. Some of the stories for some of the bounty hunts that are in the game, they're just interesting in understanding their characters and what's going on. So I feel like although I've not played much of the story, I am learning about the world that Atsu exists in.
Yeah, I'd completely agree with that. It goes back to our gripe we always have with the Ubisoft titles, and there are going to be so many comparisons made to Assassin's Creed Shadows. They both came out in the same year. They both have a very similar premise.
Similar story premise, but I think they're very different games.
Yeah, they ultimately are, and there's a lot of things that you could probably praise one or the other for subsequently. Like Assassin's Creed Shadows was a great game by all intents, and it was a beautiful game, and it rendered parts of Japan in visually stunning graphic fidelity. But there's something about a PlayStation exclusive game, or an exclusive game in general made for a specific platform, is that you can almost see where the extra element of crafters and dedicated time has gone into, because they haven't had to do it for multiple platforms, multiple SKUs, multiple hardware power dynamics. It's basically just, now you've got PS5, make it for that. And you can almost see the extra detail in elements.
I think there's even some similar ideas within Shadows. You have, you need to, here's the list of characters you need to kill, and you find information about where they are by doing things in the world. It's similar in Ghost of Yote, to be honest. You do a side content, sometimes you'll just see a scavenger by the side of the road, you confront them, and you'll get some information about one of your targets. But I feel like, I can't help but feeling Ghost of Yote, it's just done better. It feels more organic. And I didn't play Shadows myself, but when I've watched it being played, I felt the story just took a back seat.
Yeah.
And that sometimes you would just encounter one of the main targets with no real fanfare.
Yeah.
No real build-up, where at Ghost of Yote, when you find this information, it's leading you towards the story of how you're going to take down one of the Yote 6. It's the similar idea done significantly better from what I've experienced so far.
Yeah, there's a lot of the craft and just the way the bounties that you're hunting fit into the realized world, as you said, whereas the Ubisoft ones, sometimes it does feel like it's just, for lack of a better phrase, AI generated, where it'll just go, here's a fixed point, here's a random fetch quest, or a random go kill this person, go do it, but it doesn't mean anything. It doesn't tie into anything, whereas I feel like the characters I'm interacting with in this world, their narrative all feeds towards like a local village, or it all feeds towards a local forge, or something that happened to a family or an individual. And you just get the sense in each area that they're all connected, if that makes sense.
It's little stuff like, I think in the first area, basically the tutorial area you're in, I think I encountered a samurai who was just looking for a good death, fought him, beat him, and before I finished him off, I interrogated him, and he told me there's a bomb maker who's trying to protest against the Oni and give me a clue to the location of the bomb maker. So then I've since met the bomb maker, and it's these little things where it's like, okay, so he's not telling me exactly where the Oni is and how to go kill them. It's like, if you give me a hint of where I might find an ally.
Yeah, you're completely right. So yeah, that's one element of it. Inlead says in the chat, the news. Am I too late? No, you're not. No, you're not. We haven't got to it yet. We're just waxing lyrical about Ghost of Yote so far and how much we're enjoying it. But yeah, I completely agree, Richie. I think it's good so far, and I guess it's telling to the game that I haven't really wanted. I've actually actively avoided pushing on to killing the next target because I want to just kind of savor that area and make sure it's cleared up. And you obviously get the benefits of you've got more health, you've got more weapon upgrades, you've got your charm upgrades done if you clear out a whole area. So there is an incentive to go out and clear it. And there's a topic later on about genres, and some of the criticism Ghost of Yotes came into is what you allude to of it's more of the same. And that PlayStation might have this issue where the games all feel the same at the moment, and we'll get into it later on, but yes, it's more Tsushima, but it's iterative, and I think at the end of the day, all video games are ultimately still video games. Their genres may change, the third person may change, but you can only do so much with a controller with so many limited buttons and storytelling. It's like movies and cinema. Yes, there's various movies that came out this year, the last 10 years, and they all have their pros and cons, but there's only so much you can really do. And I think people need to sometimes remember that it's just a game, and if it's fun and you're having a good time, whether it's more of the same or it's completely tore the rulebook up, just enjoy it. And I, for one, am enjoying Ghost of Yote at the moment. I'd highly recommend it, especially if you enjoyed Tsushima, or maybe Assassin's Creed Shadows fell a little bit short, or you're just looking for a great exploration through a beautiful landscape, because I think you and me both enjoy these games for the historical component too.
I just love existing in that world, and I find it very interesting. I think this is why for so long everyone wanted Assassin's Creed in Japan.
Yeah, there's history there. There's history and stories to be told. I think the Western civilizations avoided for so long. Whether that's through communist fear or whatever it may be from not Japan, but Chinese
I don't
side.
think Japan's ever been.
No. I mean, I like that, the eastern side of things, and we don't get really many stories where Russians aren't the villains or Germans weren't the villains for the longest of time, and it's things like that.
In storytelling for a long time, Japan was this country mile the other side of the bloody planet to where we are, and very very little information ever made it. The internet is probably the thing that's opened up that culture more to the rest of the world.
Absolutely. But when they're talking about the Oni and the ghosts and the demons and stuff, and there's all this rich history of legend and samurai warriors and this whole different culture, that I think it's such a educational piece, but also a visually stunning piece. I'm playing it through the other day thinking, do I get some little fox statues for the garden? Could I do it out with some white stones and all these just different
a little Zen garden?
Yeah, I'd love one. Hungry Moogle in the chat does point out, says this is the type of game where a nemesis system could be integrated, like Shadow of Mordor. Absolutely. I can see why they didn't, because it's copyright infringed under Warner Brothers. But you can almost see where they're trying to build that into the narrative of everyone you meet has a meaning.
I also think a nemesis system might be a little too much. I think the nemesis system isn't. It has its flaws in that sometimes it feels like no matter you killed an orc and then suddenly he came back because the game needed another character to fill that arbitrary slot. Where I kind of like not having it in this game. I don't think it needs it. I can see how it would benefit, but
I
think it's better to not have it. Sometimes it's what you don't have in the game that can make it better than what you do have.
Yeah, I can see both for and against. If they wanted to add longevity onto the game, I could see them if there was a nemesis system post game where you've done pretty much all of the story and they're wrapping it up, and they're right, if you go back out in the open world, the nemesis system exists out of Oni raiders or however to basically fill that gap and make the game's life extended beyond that for a bit more fun. That could work completely.
Instead of procedurally generated micro stories around side characters, I'd rather have good writing. If you want to encounter the same character a couple of times throughout the game, because maybe you win sometimes, they win sometimes, then I'd rather that be written rather than procedurally generated.
I'm with you on that one. But safe to say, this is the game I'll be playing for a while now. Not sure how long it's going to last. I think I've seen various things. I'll be going for the platinum. The trophy actually doesn't look that difficult at all. It very much seems like you do a bit of everything, finish the story. And even then, I think this thing catch 10 fish with a Yari pole, which I did during the tutorial. So, it was a 5, in fact. Little, which I don't mind because it's having a taste. When I saw us...
You literally have to do 4 during the Yari tutorial.
When when we were walking towards the little dock at the waterside, and I was like, oh, here we go. There's a fishing mini game. Don't do that. Or there's a... You know what I'm like with mini games in this.
No, you just stab the fish with
yeah,
your
you
arrow.
stab
Job
it.
done.
Yeah, nice and easy. Same with the mini game with the flicking the coins across the table. Fun, short, and simple. It doesn't have loads of layers to it. It's not overly complex with rules. It's basically
It's a bit finicky, I found, actually, that.
It is.
Sometimes I feel like I've barely tapped it and she just goes
whack
smash across the table.
But that happens in real life. We all used to play a game in school, if you remember, where you had a 2p piece or something, and you made a little goalpost at the end of the table, and you flicked it across, and if you got it in the goal,
and then you
got it on the edge.
Flick the table.
Yeah, you had to get it balanced on the edge of the table, flick it up, catch it, and then you got to strike at goal, essentially. We used to play that like every lunchtime. Can't remember if I had a name, though. Like an actual competitive name.
It's just like table football.
Table football? I can't remember. Chat if you have any idea what that game used to be called. Sliding a coin across the table, get it on the edge, flick it up, catch it, then you get a shot at an open goal. But yeah, so that's our, I guess, overall views of Ghost of Yotei. I'm sure it'll be in many Game of the Year conversations. We'll probably be touching on it on the weeks to come as we get deeper and deeper into it. Of course, spoiler free. Let us know if you're playing it. Let us know if you're going to check it out. We'd love to hear your thoughts. But, Richie, busy show, lots of news to talk about. We are doing this live, as I've alluded to. But we can't get into the news until you introduce us to the
graciously gathered GamerGuild Gazette, aka the news.
The news. In lead, in the chat, where are you at? Where you at? Where you at? That was your time. That was it. That was it.
That was your cue, mate.
We've waited 6 years for that. Every single week you comment saying the news, and we appreciate you. And that was your window. But we do have a great news lineup, and we couldn't do it without you, the wonderful guild heroes who support the channel that extra little bit further from is 99p. We get your support, we got your love, and you get some content extra early, like this very show. You won't be getting it early this week because we're doing it live on a Sunday, so it doesn't leave us much time. But yes, thank you for all the fantastic support, all 40, 50 plus of you. There he is in the chat in lead. The news, Hungry Moogle stepped in, as did Jin. We all sit together in mass celebration. Richie, we do have a merch store. Don't know if anyone picked up any stuff last week and last week's sale, but it is there. There's a bunch of new merch kicking about. Some t-shirts, some camouflage stuff, some winter gear. Really good quality stuff. I prefer wearing it as like my loungewear around the house. And yeah, there's a couple of new ones up there, so go check them out. But we are here to talk about the news. And yeah, what a wild week for it. It started off with a big one. And I'll read this. Story number 1. EA privately acquired, in fact, in a $55 billion deal with a group of investors, including the Saudi Arabia Investment Fund and Donald Trump's son-in-law. Reading from Eurogamer, EA has officially acquired. Why do I get so confused? By a public investment fund, the PIF, in a private transaction worth $55 billion. EA's chairman and CEO Andrew Wilson will continue to lead the company, known for its sports games, BioWare RPGs, The Sims, and forthcoming shooter Battlefield 6, amongst others, with the transaction expected to be completed in Q1 of financial year 2027. The news of the acquisition came over the weekend before an official announcement later today. The investment group comprises of the PIF, which is investment firms Silver Lake and Affinity Partners, which is the Trump son-in-law affiliation part. And reading a quote from EA's blog, our creative and passionate teams at EA have delivered extraordinary experiences for hundreds and millions of fans, built some of the world's biggest iconic IP, and created significant value for our business. This moment is a powerful recognition of their remarkable work. Looking ahead, we will continue to push the boundaries of entertainment, sports, and technology, unlocking new opportunities. Together with our partners, we will create transformative experiences to inspire generations to come. I am more energized than ever about the future we're building. Electronic Arts is an extraordinary company with a world-class management team and a bold vision for the future. I've admired their ability to create iconic, lasting experiences, and someone who grew up playing their games and now enjoys them with his kids. I couldn't be more excited about what's ahead, said Jared Kushner, CEO of Affinity Partners. Richie, this takes EA off the stock market. It takes them into a private company, which means the PIF, the Saudi fund, as Newcastle United fans who understand them and know them all too well, they increased their stake in 2023 in EA. Now it's going to roll over into owning the whole thing privately. The organisation also has stakes in Nintendo, Take-Two, Embracer, Capcom, and more. And then on the other side of things, our next story of the week is actually to do with Ubisoft and their Tencent merger. Throwing it over to you, without getting too political and all this, EA going private? where do you sit with all this? Where are we sitting on the whole merger?
In
$55 billion
general,
as well.
Yeah, in general, I actually think privately owned companies in the creative space can function much better, because as soon as you publicly trade, you're at the beck and call of your shareholders, many of whom are not interested in the product you make, but are just interested in their return on investment, which can lead you to following the path of trying to make the company as profitable as possible, which in a creative medium is not always the best route to actual making money, oddly enough. Because if you're trying to maximize your profits, sometimes that can harm your creativity, which then you might have a short-term spike, but then a long-term plateau. So in general, private ownership of an entertainment company, I think, is a good thing. This particular cohort of owners doesn't feel like it is a private company, more a bunch of stockbrokers who want to make some money as quickly as possible, or kind of game wash their country that they're affiliated with. So I can't say I'm optimistic.
Yeah, it's a curious one to consider. Again, we don't want to get too political. We're just talking about games. But yeah, $55 billion, lots of money coming from a cash-rich country based predominantly on just oil production, right? That's where all the money comes from.
With a very, very terrible human rights.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, completely across the board. We won't get into that.
I am a Newcastle United fan. Yeah, kind of have to square that circle, but it's why I don't think we should ever forget. Because this is what the Saudi PIF wants you to do. They want you to forget all the horrible shit you do.
Mm-hmm.
So while I think they do good with the money when they invest in, say, Newcastle United and actually the surrounding area is better for the investment. But we can't forget where the money came from and who the people it's attached to is.
Absolutely. And I know there'll be people who say boycott all of EA and stuff like that, but
it's not going to work.
Ultimately, I think this is where, back to our go to your tip point, is we're here to talk about games, and as two individuals who talk about games every week, there's limitations on what we can do, and by ignoring one of the biggest stories of the week and the subsequent games that are going to come out, I think would be very naive of us, because that takes away from the thousands of devs and people who love it and the sport that it's attached to. It's got nothing to do with it. It just happens to be the rich people in the world who have the money, through whatever means they've got it, they spend it. And now they seem to be spending it on entertainment mediums like us. I couldn't imagine I could easily imagine a world where Netflix is acquired by PIF. And like I said, they've got so much money. I feel like they've just ran out of things to spend it on. They built an entire city in the likes of Dubai, and now they're like, look elsewhere. Go, right, where could we? The money just must just print itself. It just must run off. Literally comes out of a tap like oil. And they look around going, buy a football club. Invest in TV and shares, invest in infrastructure. They've just got more money than anywhere else on the planet, and it just flows freely, literally out of the ground for them. So I think they look around and just go, buy them up.
With oil money, people's thoughts tend to go to things like petrol and the automotive industry. But if you look around you at all the plastic shit that's around you, that's all oil.
Yeah,
so that's the kind of scale of the wealth.
Yeah,
that everything probably in the room around you, they might have took a few pence from the sale of, and that adds up massively. So but it reeks a bit of a monopoly, a bit. When you mention all the different companies that have shares in, it feels like there should be protections against one.
How do you
having
own
shares in too much
yeah.
stuff? Because then they gain too much control over the industry.
Well, we've said that again, but then you go back to who really regulates it? When these companies have more money than entire governments and countries, then what can you do?
But if EA is traded in, say, America, they have to abide by American laws, and if that sale is considered unlawful, the sale doesn't happen.
But if there's more money on the table, to look the other way. As much as we'd like to think of these as
which,
beacons
going back to Newcastle United, let's be fair,
the
Premier League investigated and found there was nothing wrong with it.
Yeah.
Debatable.
It's
but
it is one of those.
The Premier League, though, and Newcastle, there was a lot of precedent already in place with things like Man City and Chelsea already existing in that league. So you could argue it'd be unfair to block the Newcastle takeover because these other two takeovers.
Yeah.
And it's an organic industry where there has to be a certain level competitiveness.
Yeah, I think the one thing from a gaming point of view, which is good with this, as you said, taking it off the stock market, going private means like the whole profit loss investment. If a game's doing well, if they want to be creative with it, they've got infinite funds to throw at it. And I think the games industry, thankfully, isn't regulated as much as the football world we live in, where they can't spend the hundreds and hundreds of millions because they're limited to profit and sustainability. Whereas a games company, if someone at the PIF goes, you know what, I really liked whatever retro EA game you made back in 2002 on the PS2, there's 100 million. Make me a sequel, make me a follow-up, do me a reboot. And I guess being private and having infinite funds, it could, as I said, in a creative medium, if they just want to throw money at it, then it could be a massive like renaissance for EA, new IP potentially.
With the PIF, I can see them being quite happy to take a loss as long as it's not too substantial, because their main goal in buying EA is to make Saudi Arabia look like a nicer, more modern country than it actually is.
Mm-hmm.
Jared Kushner, my concern with him is how polarizing President Trump is and his relationship there, and what he might be demanding of the EA creative teams in terms of the political side of the content they produce. Could this be because he's now an owner or impending owner? Could there be certain censorships in place pushed by him? Would he block content that goes against his political views or Donald Trump's political views? I'm trying to avoid making a judgment on them.
No, I can see where you're coming from.
But just it's an objective fact how polarizing Trump is, and Derek Kushner is related to that.
Yeah, it's not far detached. And I think when you look at a world where alignments with the Saudi government PIF fund, they align up with things with like gay marriage, gay rights, women's rights, things like all that kind of stuff. There's certain alignments stateside that have done that as well, which is why the political landscape's been so volatile in the last couple of years.
If you're a homosexual person working for EA now, would you want to work for these people?
Well, exactly. Like, I would put it to you and say, don't expect any game along the lines of Life is Strange coming out of EA potentially anytime. Like, those type of creative inputs and stories that we're getting from other companies, if there is that influence from the owners now as a private company.
I feel like it'd be, with the PIF, it's probably more soft censorship. I don't think they'd actively turn around and go, no, you can't do that. But I feel like this is where the management team might be worried about doing that.
Yeah, because you'd imagine the higher ups like, we don't agree with that, we're not happy with that, it doesn't fit.
So you end up with that self-censorship, because then the CEO of EA is worried about their job if someone produces a game that potentially paints Saudi Arabia or some of their views in the bad light. Yeah,
company values and whatnot. It might be other people's values. So things like Mass Effect, which has a lot of interspecies and gender fluidity relationships.
Dragon Age is probably a better example because it is an EA type. Well, so it's Mass Effect, but Dragon Age I don't think it had pick a gender. So your character it didn't matter. So whether you were male or female, that wasn't actually an option. You just designed your character how you wanted it.
Yeah. Wild.
It was more masculine and feminine builds rather than male and female kind of thing.
So that
one... There was a lot of controversy over that.
All that'll get completed. So that's now we're in a world where Microsoft bought Activision for 76 billion. This private acquisition's gone through for 55 billion. Poor Ubisoft over there, Richie. Desperate to be bought out, desperate to be saved with investment. They've had to settle for Chinese company's investment, Tencent, because our second news story of the week, which I guess ties into a little bit, is the business-owned Tencent and Ubisoft merger. It was like a merger branching spin-off. If you recall, a couple of months ago, Ubisoft restructured their company to put some of their biggest IP under a separate banner, which is IP such as Far Cry, Rainbow Six, and the Assassin's Creed IPs. They got segmented off from the Crew and Rayman and a couple of other ones, Guitar Hero, Rock Band's Ubisoft. And then they announced this week that, yes, starting operations as of this week, the newly formed Vantage Studios, which is composed of 2,300 employees across multiple Ubisoft development teams, including Montreal, Quebec, Sherbrooke, Sigüenza, never even heard that, Sofia and Barcelona. The studios are going to be run by duo Christophe Derenes and Charlie Guimont. Vantage Studios operates under a less centralised model compared to Ubisoft proper, with each individual development team having more ownership over its respective project. This, in theory, would allow developers to be more fluid and pivot according to industry changes and player expectations. Vantage Studios basically is them segmenting off. I don't know if it's for a buyout or it's to keep things separate. There's obviously things that are operating outside of that. You've got the likes of Massive Entertainment, Richie, who just put out Star Wars Outlaws. Don't know where they sit in this model. They haven't given us a list of, like, other than the ones they've named, there's a lot of studios kind of in the mix that we don't know what they're doing. Presumably Massive would go back and finish and complete the Division 3, which is, they did Division 2, moved on to Outlaws. That's why it's been so long since we got a Division title. But the Division doesn't fall under this Vantage Studios banner, so that sits in, I guess, the lesser Ubisoft bracket, even though I would argue the Division is one of their bigger, more successful ones. But it's just, what's the means to end with all of this stuff, do you think? What are we doing here?
So,
Rocksmith, Hilbert Moogle says, is Ubisoft. Thank you.
My optimistic view on this is they're moving some of their more profitable franchises over to a separate entity, which can then lead to the less profitable ones actually getting out of the shadow of Assassin's Creed. So they're able to be profitable, but not be as profitable, and then be considered a success because now they're no longer under the same studio. They're not comparing the same numbers, which theoretically could lead to more creative risks in the less profitable side. But the way they seem to be structuring this is giving the profitable guys more license to build the games they want to. So I think it could be a good move. Or the alternative could be them moving the profitable stuff over to the side so they can just jettison the rest of it later.
I was going to say, do you think someone comes in and strip sells the IP and just like Rayman ends up with someone else, Embracer end up taking over, I don't know, whoever Embracer wanted to buy?
The downside is you'll probably no longer have Assassin's Creed profits funding Rayman, funding the development of Rayman. So Rayman would have to be probably self-funded. And then if someone wants to make a Rayman game, pitches at Ubisoft, goes, we need a budget of, let's say, I don't know, 50 million, they go, no, you can have 10.
Yeah. It's a curious one with Ubisoft, similar to the, I guess, EA now, in terms of like what's the scope of the investment that comes with it and the way these studios are set up. Because we've seen Ubisoft titles, you've got Skull and Bones, which was partially funded by the Singapore government. That put out. We've got the PIF over with EA now. We've got Tencent over with here. And it's like, if their ultimate goal is to just make profit, where does that lie with, like, what's the benefit of fractioning these off? If you, as you said, if the profit from one game doesn't feed the wider company, then where does that leave titles? Yeah, it's such an odd one that you think these companies, they've ballooned to such a size. We now sit in this world where it's like, they're all so fragmented. Are they even the same company anymore?
It could be a stock market fiddle as well. By moving this off to the side as its own entity, and it could then when the like
record profits,
record profits. All this Vantage Studios is doing incredibly well. We don't care about the rest of the stuff. That's all. Yep, the Ubisoft stuff's in profit. The Vantage Studios stuff is huge amount of profits because the profits aren't getting brought down by the averages and by the less profitable stuff.
Yeah. I mean, if they
so it could all just be a sleight of hand accountancy stuff.
Yeah, just shuffle some of those cups with the ball underneath it around and go, no, we didn't lose 200 million because of the poor performance of Star Wars Outlaws and other things. We made tons because Shadows did well, but it's a separate company.
Or the more freedom for the bigger studios, that could just be marketing speak.
Absolutely.
Where more central, when they're being less centralized, like, you guys are making a lot of profit, so you're fine, we're going to let you crack on. The ones that are less profitable would pay a bit more attention to, be a bit more involved, where rather than giving them the freedom to produce a good quality game, like, I don't know, Claire Obscura, for example, which could have been a Ubisoft game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hungry Moogle in the chat says, I wonder how Riders Republic is doing these days. Haven't heard about it in a while. Well, it's definitely not part of the Vantage Studios. That's for certain. What was the one where you played as all the different factions throughout history in a fighting combat one, where it was really particular
For Honor.
combat. For Honor, that's the one. Yeah, I feel like that had like a long tail following, but again, I think Ubisoft just ballooned to that point where there's so many games on the go, they can't really promote or talk about them at a regular cadence that has any substantial merit, because remember, they've ditched doing their Ubisoft Forward events. They don't no longer do like streamed events, it would seem. They weren't really present at this Summer Game Fest. I only really recall Just Dance maybe being at a Nintendo showcase.
So I've just went over Steam DB for Riders of the Republic. At the time of recording, there's 2,701 players right now, with a 24-hour peak of 2,881. And all-time peak was 4 months ago at 8,145, which was higher than the launch window on Steam. So seemingly, it's been quiet, but steady away.
Interesting. So that's.
I wonder what happened in June to go, because in May, the player count was 711. In June, it was 8,145. What happened in June?
Definitely an expansion or a content drop.
Yeah,
you would imagine. But then that's how this stuff weirdly like swings and roundabouts. We saw it with Battlefront 2, remember? When that saw like a massive spike just because of like, I guess, internet conversation.
And since June, it hasn't, on Steam, it hasn't dropped below 2,000. And the last time before June, it was above 2,000 was December 2023.
Interesting. So you're quite content in thinking that this whole merger though just means it's just them putting another label on it and financially getting their ducks in a row.
Tencent have took a 25% stake in Vantage Studios.
Yeah.
So maybe this restructure was because Tencent didn't want to invest in Ubisoft. They invested in Assassin's Creed and in Far Cry. And what was the other? In Rainbow Six. Yeah.
Meanwhile, we wait for Splinter Cell, Richie. We wait with bated breath for a Splinter Cell game. Yeah. One thing people have had to wait for, which has been a long time coming, is Hades 2. Moving on to our next story of the week, we just want to touch in with Hades 2 because it's been a while coming. It's been in open access early beta for quite some time, but it's at its full public release now. It came out officially, so let's get some user reviews in. Metacritic score currently sitting at a 94. 94, which is huge. Yeah, absolutely. It's a weird one when they do like open beta access, because I feel like everyone's been playing it for months already. So when it's like goes fully launched, it almost feels like it's lost a bit of wind in its sails, because everyone who loves the game, wanted the game, has been playing the game for quite some time now. Reading from IGN, they gave it a 10 out of 10 score. And I quote, "How do you even sum up something as beautiful, special, memorable, and as admirable as Hades 2? There is no one out there doing what Supergiant does as well as it does. And this exceptional action roguelite is some of the team's best work on nearly every level, which is an astonishing high bar to clear. It's the type of video game that reminds me why I love video games so damn much. The art is breathtaking, the characters are captivating, the combat is fast, fun, and endlessly varied, tactical, and the music is spectacular. May moonlight guide us all." I'm guessing that's a reference to the actual game. Eurogamer, in fact, also gave it a 10 out of 10, 100. Maybe it's witchcraft, maybe it's magic. Either way, Supergiant manages to draw down the moon with its Herculean action and epic narrative in Hades 2. And
I've had a quick peek at the user reviews because I've noticed a few bits of red on the on Metacritic, and to be honest, all the negative reviews for Hades 2, it's similar to Ghost of Tsushima problems. It's more of the same. Well, yeah, it's a sequel.
But did Hollow Knight get any of that criticism for Silksong? More of the same? Because Silksong felt exactly like more of the same for me. And it's like, that's what sequels do, mate. Do you think Vice City to San Andreas changed really that much? Like,
I'll have a quick look at Hollow Knight, but I bet you there's some negatives. I'd say it's more of the same.
Probably. People are going to get shocked when Grand Theft Auto 6 comes out and it's breaking into cars.
English, this is for Hollow Knight Silksong. The first English negative review I found. The team spent 7 years to create this game, and what a disappointment. It's copy and paste of the old game.
Cool.
It's the sequel to the game.
People like that need to stay away from every Tetris Pac-Man game ever re-released.
Not every game is going to be revolutionary, and chances are the sequel to a game that is going to fall a bit flat if you're trying to hold it to the same standing as what made the game. So, like, Hades, going back to Hades 2, first game it came out, critically acclaimed across the board. So the second one, they're not going to chuck out everything that made Hades 1 an amazing game and do something completely different.
Well, that's it. You might as well just make a different game at that point.
Yeah. So it has to be the sequel to Hades as your starting point. Like Ghost of Yote is the sequel to Ghost of Tsushima. Silksong is the sequel to Hollow Knight. The gameplay needs to be iterated on. The story needs a new story. The whole works, but it's not going to land the same, but it's going to be probably objectively better.
Yeah, it goes back to what I was saying right at the beginning of the show when we were talking about Yote and genres and the entertainment medium. There's only so much you can do. Guess what? Ghostbusters 2, more of Ghostbusters 1. You've got proton packs, you've got ghosts, you've got a cast of 4 main characters. They go take down ghosts. End of story.
Horizon Forbidden West, I think, felt the same. I don't think, although it's objectively a way better game than Horizon Zero Dawn, I don't think it had the same impact because it was the sequel.
Yeah, I completely agree. And you could argue that for The Last of Us, and you could argue that for any game that gets a sequel, because ultimately, it's more of the same. That's how it works. Yeah. If you didn't like this podcast, sorry, you've been listening for 450 odd weeks. It's more of the same every week. 2 guys get together, talk about video games. Yeah. There's a couple of trailers. We bitch and moan a bit. We excited and we're sharing our times, but it's ultimately the same.
You're not going to get your kind of Breath of the Wild, God of War style reimagining of the series with every iteration in an ongoing franchise.
Maybe every 20 years you might. Yeah. They could change it up a little bit, but shout out to Hades. I think it visually looks great. It's as Hungry Moogle says in the chat, it's the highest rated Metacritic score so far of the year, which is no small praise. So shout out to them. I'm curious to see how it lands with the with the kind of game of the year discussion, with it being in early access for so long.
Probably going to be Hades 2, Expedition 33. I reckon Ghost of Tsushima. What else do you reckon could sneak in there? Hollow Knight, Silksong. There's usually isn't a 5 usually.
5 in the Game Awards, yeah. They'll probably manage to skew Elden Ring in there somehow, or Cyberpunk, because that's what they like to do. Because there was DLC that came out. There'll be loads. Oh, no, thank you. Hungry Moogle points out in the chat, yeah, Ghosts again. Ghostbusters 2 gets a 1 out of 10. Too many ghosts. But it's just that thing, isn't it? It's like you get hung up on the weirdest of things. But Hades looks great, sounds great, absolute praise across the board from it. And if you're into roguelike, you enjoyed the first one. Fantastic Switch 2 game is the kind of the vibe I've got from the majority of it.
Be brilliant on the PlayStation Portal.
Oh yes, absolutely. It's like one of those games which just looks handheldy. Like it fits.
I think it's because there's 2D side scrollers, I think do just fit that form factor quite well.
Completely agree with you. Yeah, the handheld nature things just absolutely works, and it'll be an interesting one coming to the Game Awards because it's going to be lots of big hitters coming out there. Moving on to our next story of the week, we've got some cloud gaming news in the form of Amazon Luna. That's right, they're still a thing. Are back, and they're telling us more about a rebrand, a reimagining that seems to be coming. Reading direct from the AmazonGames.com blog, introducing the all-new Amazon Luna, a new era of gaming for everyone. Several years ago, a bunch of crazy gamers and Amazonians had an audacious idea. This is wrote as though it's the beginning of a tale. What if we could stream games just like we stream video and music? I say audacious because a lot of people doubted that streaming technology would work for games, which are much more difficult to deliver via cloud than video and music. But at Amazon, we like hard problems. Fast forward to 2022, and we launched Amazon Luna, a cloud gaming service where customers can play games anywhere without a console or a gaming PC. It's fun, magical. Yeah.
They're writing this as if Xbox Cloud Gaming and Google Stadia didn't exist before them.
It's interesting.
GeForce Now. That was out before Amazon Luna.
It's fun, magical, convenient, and something we're proud of. Since that time, we've added more and more titles to our catalogue, and we've scaled Luna to 14 countries, with customers streaming millions of game hours on Luna every month. Across our team, we love EA Sports FC 25. out of date now, Assassin's Creed Shadows, Fortnite, of course they have to mention Fortnite, and more. My personal favourites are Dungeons of Hinterberg and Death Stranding. But at Amazon, we don't like to stand still. We think gaming needs a rethink. I'm not going to read the whole thing because this blog goes on for quite some time, but I'll get to the point where it says introducing the all-new Amazon Luna. That's why we're excited to announce that later this year, we will be launching a completely redesigned and reimagined Amazon Luna that combines innovative social party games with amazing blockbusters to make every night in your house the perfect game night to share with your friends and family. These new additions are all included with Prime at no extra cost. The all-new Luna will empower Prime members to play games in the same way they enjoy content on Prime Video and Amazon Music across the devices they already own and prefer to use. There's no special hardware required. Just launch Luna on your smart TV, Fire Stick, tablet, and you're playing in seconds. So that's the crux of it. They do go into talking about that there's a game night feature, which basically means you can launch Luna, find a social party game, and play it with friends via your phone rather than needing a controller.
It's Jackbox.
Jackbox. It's PlayStation PlayLink, I think it was called, where you use your phone as your controller to play like the quiz games and the family games. It's that, but using cloud gaming. We won't go into that because we spoke about that at death. The biggest thing for me, I think, the biggest takeaway, Richie, is as someone who is a Prime member, I guess Luna's now just included, and that was one of the things we told with Stadia all the time. Is like include it in Google One subscription, include it with YouTube Premium.
Yeah, so there was always a Amazon Prime Luna channel.
You got a selection of games, from being a Prime member.
And then there was a Luna Plus channel, and then there was like the Ubisoft channel. It's been a while since I looked at the stuff. To me, when I'm reading this, they're introducing it as an all-new Amazon Luna, but I think everything they're saying here has already been existed on Luna in just slightly different branding. Because they talk about the game night stuff, which is, to me, just like, that sounds exactly like Jackbox. Maybe some other brands might come into it, but that's already on Luna.
Yeah, well, Hungry Moogle says, isn't that just couch mode? But I think couch mode is the ability to launch two of the same game. I can't really remember now. It's been that long.
Yeah, I'm struggling to see what is actually new and novel about this relaunch of the platform.
I think the genuine biggest change is just it's included in Prime. I think that's it. It's going to be marketed as part of Prime. It's going to be a perk with Prime, just like music and next day deliveries are.
Yeah.
I think that's how we have to look at it, really, because the ultimate thing of play anywhere, play where you want, here's the games, that's still the same. We know quite a while ago they added the feature to purchase your games. They introduced the option to link it to your GOG account, your Ubisoft account. So they've done great work behind the scenes. And I think this is just maybe the next evolution step of, I have to commend Amazon for sticking with it, because they have. And we know they haven't seen the traction they wanted. We know that they're suffering from the same problems as Stadia did, and that they're just a small fish in a big established pond. And even when you've got the likes of Xbox, which we'll get into in our next story, is struggling on many fronts, they're still infinitely bigger than Amazon in the gaming sphere, and they probably always will be. But I really have to just put a pin in it and commend them, because I did some calculations, Richie, and as it stands, I didn't realise this, but Amazon Luna has actually surpassed the lifespan of Google Stadia now, which I wouldn't have known.
Are you using the American launch date or
the American launch date, because that's when they went out there. So Google Stadia was the clarity,
which is probably that's the right date to use, really.
19th of November 2019, and then closed down on the 18th of January 2023 means Google Stadia lived for 1,156 days, which sounds wildly short, which was 3 years and 1 month. That's all they stuck at it for, 3 years and 1 month. Amazon Luna, the 1st of March to the present day, at the time recording, 5th of October 2025, means Amazon Luna has been alive for 1,293 days, giving it a lifespan of 3 years and 6 months. So they're currently 5 months older than Google Stadia ever made it to. So rest in peace, our sweet summer child. It was not meant to be, but commitment where commitment's due. They're getting more games. They announced, we should point out, as part of this blog, titles like Hogwarts Legacy and Indiana Jones are coming to the platform. Well, maybe by the end of the year, maybe start next year. Indiana Jones, Xbox game. Hogwarts Legacy, Warner Brothers game. We know they've had Batman titles anyway, so no surprise in that one. But Indiana Jones is a big one for me, which is like, okay, they're making deals behind the scenes.
They're still suffering from the biggest problem Google Stadia had is the tech is absolutely fine. It works. we know that firsthand. Both Google and Amazon, Google Stadia and Amazon Luna work. Getting people to adopt it is difficult, especially when your library is quite sparse.
Mm-hmm.
So they're still talking about EA Sports FC 25. They should be shouting from the rooftop about 26 because it's out.
Yeah. It is on the platform as well. That's the worst part.
Talking about Fortnite. They need to start talking. They should be talking about Clair Obscura. They should be talking about Oblivion. They should be talking about Metal Gear Solid Delta.
Mm-hmm.
All the new game, Hades 2. They should be shouting from the rooftop that they've got Hades 2. They need to be seen getting the biggest day and date games because that's the only way you're going to get people over. Google failed to do that, and because of that, they just didn't get the adoption.
Yeah. Is there still an argument where both passing 3 years and as it stands today, Stadia still had a better library of games?
I don't know because I haven't looked because Luna's library in a long time.
Because they both get the Ubisoft games. I still think Stadia having like standouts like Cyberpunk and stuff puts it a little bit ahead of Luna because I don't think they've had.
Luna have had other standouts. They had Control for a while. I don't know if
they had Control from the beginning.
Yeah, they've got Death Stranding. They've got Indiana Jones, but some of these are more recent titles. So I think they're probably on par, to be honest. Because I don't think Stadia had as many big titles as we may remember.
No. Rose-tinted glasses kind of thing.
Yeah.
Interesting on the Luna front how they rebrand or relaunch, as they say. Like, are they going to have a big announcement of games coming? Are they going to do... Because they've never really done a live stream. Remember we had the Stadia Connect. Amazon have never really done like an event. They've never really been present. Like, we know Amazon Games sponsors the Game Awards sometimes. Do we think this could be a Game Awards setup? Possibly.
Maybe.
Go big at the Game Awards.
Getting the blog post out, and then there'll probably be an advert there.
Sponsorship.
Well, there's another thing. Mentioning Amazon Games. Amazon Games aren't on Luna.
Yeah, we said that from the beginning, didn't we?
Yeah, still not that. But I still think a good marketing move for Amazon Luna and Xbox, which is where I usually mention is, bundle a controller in for new TV purchases.
Yeah.
But just imagine you buy a new, say, LG TV, smart TV, other brands are available, and you open the box and there's a controller there and go, oh, if you have Amazon Prime, just connect this to your TV and you can play, I don't know, that's Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
You're going to get people trying it out just by chucking a controller in the box with another purchase. Put one in with a Fire Stick without any extra cost. Just stick it in there.
Well, we know they do discounts on the controllers. I think even when this blog post went out, I think the Luna controller was $34.99 discounted down. They do promotions and they're good at that.
That's still a £35 controller that you'd have to, one, know about it, two, look at it, and three, make the decision to buy it. Where if you just decided you wanted a new Fire Stick and they just chucked the controller in there, you're going to get someone to entice go, oh, I'll give this a go.
Absolutely. Touching in with a few of the chat. Chris Lamb stopped by, says, afternoon, chaps. Many happy returns. You've lost out to the Formula 1 this afternoon. But we're going to stream this show live and then we're going to do a game stream afterwards. So we'll be here for a few hours yet. Al Davis says, the opt-in mentality for games in cloud services is frustrating no matter where you go. There are so many games that can't be played in the cloud just because the publishers want a cut of the money. So they restrict access to it.
They're always going to want a cut of the money.
Yeah, Hungry Moogle says Luna has a lot of bloat, which I think was which I think is just gaming in general. If you look at the Nintendo eShop, that's got a ton of shovelware.
The PlayStation Store has, the Xbox Store has, every store has a lot of bloat. It's the lack of standout titles that make the bloat seem to take up more of the storefront. Yeah, you bring people in with your big hitters, and then hopefully they stay for the rest of it. Al Davis also says, at least with Stadia you could keep the pro games. Whereas Luna, it's on that just rotating cycle. Emily Manders, new to the channel, I guess. My wife has just left me. What do I do? Go out and get a new one, Emily. That's the best advice I can give you. Hungry Moogle says Stadia gave them free through YouTube and people still refuse to try it. It's just really hard to get people to actually give it a go. And I think that goes back just to state the industry where there's such small players is you almost have to incentivize them so heavily to get them in. It's a sunk cost fallacy almost. And I think Amazon, again, to their credit, that they seem committed. And you and me have said is you just need to grow
and wait. I think a few times we said just wait for the younger audience, the audience that have grew up with touchscreen. So playing on an iPad isn't a problem for them. So actually having a Luna subscription because your mum and dad have Prime, and then, hey, you can play Indiana Jones or Kingdom Come Deliverance or Hogwarts Legacy on Luna on your iPad using touch controls. To a 10-year-old nowadays, that will not faze them at all. To me, absolutely fuck no. I don't want to do it that way.
Make a deal with Apple where you like through like your phone provider, you buy a new iPad and you can get a discounted Luna controller. Well, anything to get that controller in people's hands is going to give you more chance of people trying it. Some people will just look at it and chuck it in the bin.
Yeah, but this is where, again, controller aside, the whole mentality they're going on here is like you won't need a controller. You can just use your phones for this this family plan one. So we'll see how that pans out. I do want to touch on ever so briefly, if they're doing a relaunch, you noticed on the key artwork, the Luna font's changed. That's not as someone who spent a lot of time staring at the Luna logo quite extensively for artwork that we've done for the channel. The logo, the actual Luna shape, and the font, it's kind of been blurred a little bit. It doesn't look as sharp Amazon font as it would. So like the image I'm showing on the channel right now, follow along with me. It's not your traditional Amazon font that they like to use. It's been, I'd say, blurred a little bit. I'm not going crazy there.
I don't know.
The visuals of it. I'm telling you now, maybe that's part of it. Maybe they're just trying to get away from that a little bit.
I don't know. I think the ears look the same, between the Amazon and Luna logos.
No, I'm not going crazy. I'm going to get, in fact...
At the end looks the same to me. There might be a slight difference, but they're close.
For viewers at home, this is the end of the Welcome to Amazon Luna Everything You Need to Know video. Right there. Look at them letters, right? Then we'll cut back to the article. Look at the difference. See what I mean? They're like fat. They've put on some weight.
You know what they've done? Control B.
They've just went bold by accident.
Yeah. No, I do see what you mean. It does look like. I think it's actually closer to the Amazon font.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting. Like Hungry Moogle says, it's going to be interesting to see what they're doing, change with Prime Gaming. As someone who appreciates Luna, I know it works, I know it functions, I have a controller. They just need to give me a reason to come back in, because I think a lot of us who've been, especially in our audience, who've been like burnt a little bit by the collapse of Stadia and Xbox now with their Game Pass prices going up and cloud gaming maybe isn't as accessible. Where do we sit in that front? We'll have to wait and see. But they said coming soon, so we don't really know when or what that looks like, but the year is running out, so we'll get to it. Which we also need to get to. One thing Bloober Team are getting to, Richie, is they've confirmed, after the success of Silent Hill 2 and seemingly the success of Chronos The New Dawn, which they will not rule out a sequel just yet, Polish horror specialist Bloober Team have revealed that a Silent Hill 1 remake, which was teased by Konami earlier in the summer, is now in full production. At an investors call yesterday, Bloober Team CEO Peter Biebeno, vice president, commented the answers to the transcript of Bloober management say, "We have two first-party production teams, one of which is working on Silent Hill 1, and the other that has begun work on a second project. Bloober Team currently employs approximately 250 people. No further details were shared, but presumably after the success of Silent Hill 2 remake, they've went back and they've been given number 1 to do. Now, part of me slightly irked they didn't just do 1 first, but I get their reasoning. If 2 was the successful one, the most popular one, go do that one first. And if it does well, then we'll go back and do it. It annoys me because I don't want to play 2 without playing 1. However, I guess in the grander scheme of things, you're getting everything you want. And of course, Silent Hill F has just had an amazing start. It's done well on Metacritic. Yeah. It's selling well, especially in Japan. It's doing really well. We're heading into horror season, so it's surely only going to sell more copies as the spooky season takes grip of the world. Yeah, Bloober Team. They're having again, I think Chronos, they didn't really say how well it's done, but you'd imagine it was a smaller scale project. It was a way to get a bit of money on where they didn't have to pay Konami for licensing fees. But overall, they're on a good stride at the moment, Bloober, so it makes sense, right? Going back and remaking 1.
Yeah, it does. Before getting to it, I just want to clarify. I've put Emily in the naughty corner because she apparently works with my girlfriend and she's likely to apparently troll us. So, Emily, I put you in the naughty corner. Go stand in the corner.
Oh, go look for your new wife in your corner.
Yeah. Anyway, but Bloober Team, yeah, they're doing well. Silent. I'm with you. I would have preferred the remake Silent Hill 1 first, but maybe it's a case of we've only got the budget to remake one of them initially. Which one do we go with? Two's going to be the stronger candidate. We'll go with that. Now we'll go back and make one. Now we've got the budget for it. It is just a shame it's done that way around, but Bloober Team, yeah, doing good things.
Yeah.
I feel like the studio that is game by game improving.
Yeah, they're doing.
Because I felt like a few years ago we were talking about them bringing out games, and they were just not quite getting there.
Yeah, they had that element of like risk associated to them, where they'll put out a game that's like competent, but it was never striving for anything beyond just like being a competent game. Yeah. And in today's industry, that doesn't fly. It doesn't make money. It beckons layoffs and cutbacks and worrying times.
Some of the stuff, if I remember stuff coming out, we were talking about it, where unfortunately it just felt a bit flat and a bit generic. Not bad, but now it feels like they've finally stepped up the game and it's almost like they took a few shots and just missing the zeroing in on the target audience.
Yeah. And then they were thankfully trusted with a massive horror IP by Konami as well, which is served them wonders. And Konami doing really well themselves at the moment. But looking back,
that might have helped them then, Like, being trusted with Silent Hill, they've probably been access to all the original design docs for Silent Hill 1 and 2 when they've been remaking it. And they went, it might have helped them go, okay, start to understand what they need to do to really get their games to pop.
Yeah, and they seem to be on that. Hopefully they'll have a word with Capcom now and get us Resident Evil 1 finally. Yeah. So we can actually get around to that. But yeah, Silent Hill F out now. And of course, now they've got the spin-off in Silent Hill F. It's weird to think like how many they announced, like 3 or 4 Silent Hill games if I recall as well. F was one of them. There was a couple others,
which was worrying at the time.
Yeah, it was like, hang on a minute, 7 new things and a Netflix series possibly, and this and that. And it's like, how much Silent Hill do we really need?
Guys, chill. It's fine.
So we've got this. So yeah, Bloober Team working on that. Interesting to see as that one ticks over. Moving into, though, the next arguably biggest story of the week that impacts probably all of us listening and viewing along at home is Microsoft and Xbox gaming and Microsoft gaming as a whole. Seemingly, Richie, the garden at the moment is full of rakes. Big green Xbox branded rakes that they like to step on seemingly every other week at the moment. Reading from the Xbox Wire on October 1st, they like to kickstart spooky season by scaring the shit out of us all with yet another price rise across the entire Xbox Game Pass portfolio. Reading from the blog, they do try and put a positive spin on it, but we'll dig into this because it impacts us all. Our goal with Game Pass has been clear: deliver much unmatched value, benefits, and a deep library of games for our players. Since launching in 2017, we've steadily grown our subscriber and creator satisfaction, and today, creator participation and player engagement in Game Pass are at an all-time high. But we have the opportunity to for Game Pass to help more players find creators and games they love. We'll skip through. Starting today, we're introducing 3 upgraded Game Pass plans on how players play: Essential, Premium, and Ultimate. Each includes expanded game libraries, including PC titles, unlimited cloud gaming, in-game benefits, including Riot game titles, and a revamped rewards with Xbox experience. Today's Game Pass core subscribers will automatically move to Essential, standard subscribers will transition to Premium, and Ultimate subscribers will remain on the Ultimate plan. It's all part of our commitment to meet players where they are, so you can choose what works best for you no matter where you love to play. I'm not going to read the full blog, but they do go on to talk about more titles coming than ever before, 75 day one releases to Ultimate, so they still want you to go to Ultimate. They've also added in Ubisoft Classics to Ultimate, and they've enhanced the Xbox Cloud Gaming stream quality up to 1440p. And more importantly, Richie, cloud gaming is now officially out of the beta period after what's literally been over half a decade of beta testing, which, credit where credit's due. We said to Google Stadia, their biggest thing was ripping off that beta tag way too early, where they didn't have the games, didn't have the library, and it hadn't been tested fully. But the biggest thing this comes with, and the harshest part, is the price has gone up on all of these. So although this blog and this announcement was packaged as meeting you where you want to be, and we have the opportunity for Game Pass to help find more games that you love and more creators that you've never experienced, that does come with its downsides. And ultimately, the new core, which is now essentials, the essentials, which is now premium, if I remember that right, and ultimate, which is still ultimate. It's more expensive, and I think it's hitting harshest stateside because it's coming up on nearly $30 now. It's $29.99, which sounds wild, where it started off at $15. Us in the UK, we're at a point where the $14.99 we paid is now going up to £22.99. Yeah, obviously, your local currency.
If I read from Forbes, Paul Tassi over Forbes, and because I think he sums up the price increase quite well. There's a phenomenon in the age of everything being a subscription where the slow boil flog of a few dollar increases every couple of years is able to be tolerated by most. You sort of forget you have these subscriptions and what they cost, even as they slowly slide the price up over time. But a 50% increase feels like this is a total shock to the system. It makes you sit up and take stock of whether you're really getting that much value out of the subscription. In this case, examining if Xbox Game Pass is once the value it seemed to be. Since July 2023, the price of Game Pass has now doubled after two price hikes, $15 to $17 and $17 to $20. But now $20 to $30 is just a wild jump, and I cannot for the life of me find $360 worth of value just under the price of a launch PS4 every year for this service. It's doubled in 2 years, the price. Just, I thought he puts a nice bit of context in it.
Yeah, and it's one of those things like the internet took this and went crazy. I've seen so many memes and fun things of funny things, of saying like this is too much. Loads of people screenshotting the cancellation page. The actual cancellation page on Microsoft's gaming account management page crashed.
There's a huge spike on Google Trends of people searching how to cancel.
Yeah, and it does go back to that thing is anytime someone puts a price up, you sit there, you count your pennies, and you go, can I justify spending it? And I don't think it's necessarily spending it. I think people will come back to it at any price because it's ultimately more value. If you've got a £70, £80 game and you can essentially rent it for a month for £30 or in the UK £22, it still makes more financial sense to keep for that month. But their hope was you hang around for longer. And I think at £22, $30 a month, that question becomes a lot more difficult of
out of the context of the original price and the price increases over the last 2 years, a $30 price tag effectively is equivalent of buying a AAA game, a brand new AAA game every maybe 2 to 2.5 months. Mm-hmm. So if you're playing a game day and date on Xbox Game Pass and you're finishing, say, a game a month, the value is actually still there. Obviously, It's not, but it's hard to stomach when it is a $10 increase overnight. And the new stuff they're putting in, let's be frank here, is the stuff that you would expect them to be putting in anyway. More games. So the service like, well, yes, that's what we expect from a service like this. Fortnite Crew. No one gives, unless either you really give a shit about it and you're paying for it, or you do not give a shit at all.
Yeah, it's decisions to where they add stuff in to make it seem better value, and then ultimately the decisions seem like they've been made from someone who doesn't pay attention, like from a corporate level of like, yeah, let's add Fortnite Crew in, and let's talk about the Riot Games thing. I don't know anyone in our friend circles who cares about that.
And Fortnite Crew, this is good news to you.
Yeah,
because it'll probably work out cheaper.
But are the people playing Game Pass really there for the Fortnite?
Maybe. Fortnite's huge. I'm guessing there is in the Venn diagram of Fortnite players and Game Pass players. I'm guessing there's quite a lot of people in there. But I just don't. Because Fortnite Crew is, reading from the Xbox blog, is $11.99 a month. Mm-hmm. So if you're paying for that separate, you're effectively now saving yourself $2 a month. Same if you got Ubisoft Classics. If you're paying for Ubisoft Classics separate to Game Pass. Mm-hmm. That's $7.99 added to your subscription, so you're only actually paying $2 more.
Yeah.
So if you're paying for Fortnite Crew, Ubisoft Classics, and Game Pass, but it's all marketing stuff. It's all smoke and mirrors to justify another price increase.
Is it justified though?
I think the justification is
the world of macroeconomics, as they say.
Yeah. I think the justification is Microsoft is so far down the rabbit hole with Game Pass, they have to commit to it. They can't pull out of Game Pass easily. So they're going to have to make money, and they haven't been making enough money. So in order to sustain the Xbox as a brand, they probably have to. That's being generous and ignoring any potential. This is profiteering nonsense. But I think the reality is, for me personally, I was debating cancelling Game Pass anyway, because my subscription's up next month. And I've been just getting on CD keys, getting a 3-month subscription, keeping it up. But the only game I've played on Game Pass in the last 18 months, I think, was Indiana Jones. And now, as more games, Xbox games are coming day and date to PlayStation, and the majority of games I now play on the Portal, like I bought Oblivion on PlayStation instead, even though I had free access to it on Xbox.
Yeah.
I don't need Game Pass anymore. And this has pushed me to actually commit to that decision. Going, well, why am I going to pay $10 a month more for a service I'm just not using?
It's something that everyone needs to consider, because I looked at mine, and mine was due up on the 3rd. And it was that thing that caught me off guard. It's like how quick it was. Like, as of today, it was like, hang on a minute, don't you have to give more notice to increasing prices than just like now? It's going up now. Mine's still renewed at $14.99 on the 3rd, even though they apparently took effect from the 1st, and I don't know why, because I probably would have cancelled as well, because there was nothing for me to play. But then I thought, well, actually, if Call of Duty comes out like this month,
in the terms of your technical purchase, it was still was being processed before the 1st.
Yeah, quite possibly. But it's definitely something where I think millions of people still just leave it, because ultimately, like, they'll play games. If you only have an Xbox and you don't have a PlayStation or Switch, then yeah, I can see why actually £22 a month, it may seem like a lot, but taking in the 75 day one games, like last month was Hollow Knight Silksong, this month's going to be Call of Duty, like that's already over £100 worth of gaming there for just 22 quid. I get it. Looking at the other ones though, where they've tweaked it around a little bit. So cloud gaming comes through all plans. So unlimited cloud gaming. There is a story this week of them trialing ad-based cloud gaming, where you basically get access to certain games for free via the cloud, and you watch like a 2-minute advertisement beforehand. Well, probably
if you're not paying for one of the subscriptions, then
it's free. You can't really argue with free. So it's like, if you want to sit through a painstaking 2 minutes worth of advertisements, I don't know, every hour, then fill your boots. But for an actual subscription service, Essentials, I think ultimately they want you on Ultimate. It's the best one. I personally am only really here for day one games, like, because we cover them on the channel and I like to be in the conversation. I want to play these day one. So I'm only ever really going to look at Ultimate, because I think Premium, not having the day one first party titles, is a big loss for me on that tier.
Yeah.
We should say they did have in the trailer, I don't know how many people clocked it, Call of Duty, little asterisks, not included on any of these things. They did it in the Game Pass Premium trailer at the, what mark was it? They go through all like little clips of the video games, and then there's a little bit of white asterisk text at the bottom that says excludes Call of Duty. Now that makes me think, there was an article came out this week saying Call of Duty cost Microsoft $300 million, or potentially $300 million last year, for putting Call of Duty Black Ops 6 into Game Pass. And that was based on calculations about 82% of the Call of Duty Black Ops 6 sales were on PlayStation 5, which then makes you wonder, like, well, how many people are playing Call of Duty on Xbox because they had it on Game Pass?
That's the point, though. Yes, you're squandering the boxed sales, but to drive the Game Pass model, that's why you put something like Call of Duty on your platform. It's why you buy Activision. So yes, most of the box sales are going to be on PlayStation, but you can use that. You can pay 70 quid on PlayStation, or 15 quid a month, guys, on Xbox.
Yeah,
and you get everything else. That's the value. It feels like Microsoft are trying to recoup costs here. This is probably all an effect of the Activision purchase, where they spent a lot of money and now they need to see a return. So how do you do it? Game Pass, as it in its current guise, wasn't doing it enough.
Yeah, quite possibly.
Or at least quick enough.
It does seem that way. What do you think about the premium losing out on Call of Duty, though? Excludes Call of Duty titles. So Premium will get the day one games a year later, but
It's a long
exclude.
Way,
well, that's the point. That's why Premium is redundant for me, because I'm like, if they launched the sequel to Indiana Jones, I'm not going to want to wait a year to play that game. So then I'm going to go up to Ultimate. But then is that what they want? They want to push you towards Ultimate because then they're getting a bit more money out of you. If you do keep it, it's £22, $30. They're getting more. And then ultimately, have they looked at this in a big business kind of like economic sense and thought, you know what? People will kick off. People will be angry. But we have confidence in our first party slate with between Call of Duty and Blizzard and all the other studios we've got and Gears of War E-Day and Forza 6 coming out. We have confidence that still at the end of the day, £22, $30 is more than paying £80 for a box copy. And in today's economics, people would rather just pay a subscription. They can opt it. Again, you can opt out at any time. This isn't like a 12-month commitment or a 6-month commitment. You can still buy, no doubt, discount vouchers through CD keys. I've seen GameStop going at Xbox hell for leather about that. It does emphasize the need for physical media, I think, as well. That if you're not beholden to this subscription model, it's like, actually, long-term wise, just buy the game you want to play. If you only play a handful of games, that's fine. But having that library at ultimate disposal across all platforms with all benefits for £22, it's still probably the best value you can get in video games, depending on your circumstances. It just sucks because it's gone up double in the last year and a bit.
So my view on it is, I think the value, as I said earlier, the value out of context of the price increases is still there. Uh-huh. If you're playing, say, 1 to 2, like say, I don't know, if you're playing one AAA game, new game, every month or every 2 months, it's probably worth the money if you're playing it exclusively on Xbox. Mm-hmm. For me, I rarely touch my Xbox nowadays because the way I play games has changed. I play almost exclusively on Portal. So until Xbox have an equivalent to the Portal, and I know there's devices out there that can play stuff.
You don't want to spend £1,000 on a ROG Ally X this week.
They start at least 2.5 times the price of the PlayStation Portal for features that I do not want. Mm-hmm. So if Xbox came out, went, here is a cloud gaming device for £200 to £250. It won't play games natively, but it's Xbox, and you need Game Pass Ultimate to play it, but it will play pretty much anything in the Xbox catalogue. Suddenly Game Pass is enticing to me. Or if a AAA game is exclusive to Xbox that I want to play, mm-hmm. then I'll consider re-upping my subscription for the duration I'm playing it. If it's a shorter game, if it's a game that's gone, oh, this might take me 2 months to play, I might just consider buying the game. Mm-hmm. So because of this price increase, they've actually lost me as a regular subscriber.
Yeah, I think that's what it comes down to.
I was on the fence and they've pushed me over it. So
I think that's what it comes down to. We should talk about, I guess, Ubisoft Plus being added, which it is a great pack. It does add loads of games.
Classics.
But
Classics.
Classics, which is the same as PlayStation Premium, right? That includes Ubisoft Classics as well. Mm-hmm. 30 new titles added. It's essentially Ubisoft's back catalogue. You don't get get day one, so if that's the Plus Premium subscription. But similar to like EA Play, it's more games included. So yes, that is a perk. You are getting access to more titles included for nothing extra.
You're getting access to a huge quantity of games, but you're getting access to the games that you want to be playing right now.
Or you're getting more time to play them. That's the biggest thing is...
Yeah.
Like, what do you do with that?
To be fair, our audience trends towards being older than us. So...
For now,
how much time do people have of our audience and ourselves to play all these games? It's minimal, really.
Well, we don't. Yeah, I'd love to sit in a world where we do, but until retirement beckons, I don't think we're getting quite there. Just a few points from the chat as well. Yeah, Hungry Moogle says, you can just buy the few games to play, save a few dollars. Ubisoft Classics are regularly on sale for under £10. I think this is where the value proposition comes in. I look at that Ubisoft Classics list, and I've played most of them several years ago when they launched out, so it's like
or you've had the opportunity to play them,
absolutely, or buy them for like £4 in a classic Ubisoft
on the
sale.
Premium is a big get. I'll give them that. That's a good get.
Yeah, but again, it's like two and a half year old now, that one. The way the T's are broken down, there's obviously benefits and stuff to them all. The rewards program, I noticed, came under some criticism as well because they did kind of strip out the ability to stack rewards. So that they do say you can earn up to $100 a year with in-store credits, but they have limited it to that. So what people would traditionally do is if you played all the time, like your life was Xbox, you could accrue enough points.
The Bing rewards and stuff.
Yeah, you could accrue enough points to then subsequently buy Game Pass for another free month and then just keep that in perpetuity. They've like limited and capped that now, and I guess it's an ecosystem where they're not making any money off you. You're just playing the games. But then I guess as a consumer, that should be a reward for being such a dedicated, loyal customer. It's like, yeah, you do get to play for free.
I think before I was doing the Microsoft Rewards stuff where I might take 10 minutes out of my working day, usually when I was at work. And I think I managed to get a few months free every year of Game Pass.
Yeah.
So maybe about 3 or 4 months in a year. So every couple of months I get a free month.
Yeah.
But they've minimized the ability to do that now. So it's like you're making it harder for me to get these 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
You've doubled the price over the last 2 years. As Hungry Moogle puts it in the chat, nothing has changed for you, but you're now paying double. I don't see an upside to any of this.
Yeah, absolutely.
For the consumer.
Yeah.
For Microsoft, there's more money. Hopefully that'll go back into the devs to give them more resources to make better games, etc., etc.
Yeah, and again, they should say like the 75 day one releases. That's the way they've painted that. Is it's a 50% rise on what they've had in previous years. So you are getting more day one releases. You can't deny Black Ops 7 would be £70-80. High on Life 2 is coming. Ninja Gaiden's coming later this month. Outer Worlds 2 is coming this year. You've already had Blueprints, which is Game of the Year nominated. Expedition 33, Hollow Knight Silksong. Now Ubisoft Classics and EA Play discounts. So there's lots of stuff. One of the things that we're criticised for as part of the rewards program is they've got rid of the discount on DLC. So if you were a Game Pass subscriber, you could get up to 10% discount off any expansions or add-ons for games as well. So that's now gone. 10% seems quite inconsequential for me anyway. You're talking £1 or £2, but it is still something they've removed quietly without talking about it or replacing it. So I feel like some of it's cloak and dagger. Some of it's clearly worded to kind of make you think like, oh, this is a good thing. This is a good thing. But as a consumer and as someone like all of our listeners, no doubt, who are caught up in the toils of increased pressures of cost inflation and rising prices, you do look at it and go, you know what? I have to knock one of these on the head, and I'm leaning more PlayStation. So
everything is getting more expensive. The first thing to go when you're budgeting is entertainment costs. Food. We'll go without food as long as I can get my video games.
I can just I don't need any fish. I'll play COD.
Yeah. So unfortunately, if you have multiple gaming subscriptions, what do you want to get rid of? For me, because my subscription ends next month, I have made the decision that I'm getting rid of Game Pass because I don't use it.
So what happens? Until we have to play something for the channel, and then we'll resubscribe immediately. And we can only do that by, I guess, our members who support us and give us the funds to do so. Let's move on from the Microsoft stuff. We'll no doubt talk about it as we start to, I guess, as the weeks and months tick by, people calculate and crunch the numbers of how many people have cancelled and lost. I'll be interested because the last update we got was from 2022, I think, and they said they had 34 million subscribers off the top of my head, give or take. I'll be very interested to see what damage this does to them. And is it a mass exodus? Is this the final nail in the coffin? Is this Big Daddy Microsoft coming in and saying and making these decisions like, oh, just turn the screw a little bit on Game Pass? Nobody cares. Or is it such a failing business?
It'd be interesting to see how many people who jumped on the trend of cancelling in a couple of months' time when they've
Call of Duty's out later this month.
Yeah. And then they get it, then you just leave a gut ticking over. Microsoft will have been expecting this spike. Mm-hmm. How big the spike goes might be debatable, and how many people return. Mm-hmm. But ultimately, what they'll be interested in is, in say 6 months' time, are they earning more money from Game Pass than they have been over the last 6 months?
Yeah. Or have you just shed loads of your actual customer client base? The biggest thing, I think, ultimately, and it's unfortunate, but similar to Ubisoft, Microsoft is struggling with controlling their narrative right now, and they just cannot seem to buy a win. Or even when they do, they shoot themselves in the foot with something like this. Everyone loved the thought of Forza. Call of Duty's coming out later this month. But in the middle of all that, we're going to up our prices again. Or we're going to increase the price of the hardware. Literally only 2 weeks ago, we were talking about the Xbox being more expensive than a PS5 Pro. This is 5-year-old tech that is going up in price, and now they're asking for more for the subscription. And it just makes you wonder, doesn't it? Like, where does it end? Where your average consumer, like you and me, who just go to work, get our money, want to play games, we're being priced out of a hobby because you can only have one. And ultimately, for you, I know for you and me and probably a lot of our audience, we skew more towards PlayStation and Nintendo. That could be down to a quality thing, a legacy thing, a marketing, a brand thing. But like, ultimately, it's like it's up to them to convince us otherwise. And as your point alluded to, if Gears of War E-Day comes out on the PS5 day one, I'll probably just play it there.
Well, to be honest, at Gears of War E-Day, when it comes out, I can see myself giving it a pass because it's on Xbox, and I can guarantee around the same time it'd be something I'd rather be playing on PlayStation.
Yeah.
So my interest in E-Day is actually diminished because of this.
Oh, well.
Because I no longer will have immediate access to it.
Well, I'll tell you what then.
So, yeah.
Let's move over to a PlayStation side, because PlayStation don't get away with it. There's been a lot of fervour this week, and we touched on it at the very beginning of the show around approach to storytelling and genre, and there was a couple of articles. IGN posted an opinion piece, and it was definitely designed to stir people up a little bit about, are PlayStation games getting too samey? And that was the headline, and it was obviously designed for clicks. That was one. The title of it, Richie, was "I'm getting bored of every PlayStation game telling the same story," and that was the kind of initial one from Simon Cardy, who's usually like he's a decent journalist at IGN from what I've read and some of the reviews he's done. But I think putting such a finer point in it of saying, these dark, depressing stories, and I can see the thread of his narrative where he's coming from, and saying they're all quite like broody, cinematic stories. But back to our point of like, he wants them to go back to when they were a little more fun. And I think that's just how games have evolved as graphic fidelity's got more. But I don't want to spend too long on it. But do you think God of War is similar to Astrobot? Do you think Ghost of Yotei...
That's an unfair comparison.
He said PlayStation exclusives. He says he starts his article saying, "I'm a huge fan of PlayStation first party offerings. They've come to embody blah, 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 blah. Impeccably well made. But this PlayStation era feels like it's no longer fun." I would argue also that something like Horizon does not compare with Ratchet and Clank first party games.
I think God of War and Ghost of Tsushima, I think they're very different games. They might tread on similar themes, same as Last of Us, but I think there's enough unique about them that they don't feel like you're playing through the same story. You still have very interesting different characters with different motivations. Mm-hmm. I think this is an issue that is pretty much because he's a reviewer. He plays through way more games than the likes of us.
Mm-hmm. It's his job.
Yeah. So if you're playing through millions and if your beat is PlayStation first party games and you're playing through every single one of them, you might start noticing trends in the narratives that most consumers don't, because we're not getting through a game in like 2 weeks and going on to the next one and on to the next one and to the next one.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah, he quotes his article saying the cycle of violence is becoming a danger of a diminishing returns loop. So, and again, in his article, he just said, like, don't get me wrong, he's a fan of all the games he lists in the story, like Spider-Man, God of War, Death Stranding. He says, like, the familial grief at the center of all these stories, while it's got that mature theme, it's starting to feel like he's getting hit around the head with the same ideas of the cycle of violence and loss and love and family and stuff. And it's like, I can see that, but then I've seen people online as well also talk about this week about like, oh, they're just bleeding them dry. And I was like, well, actually, this generation, we've only got two. Actually, this generation only got one Last of Us. Horizon's only got 2 games. Ghost has just got its second game. So it's like they're hardly milking these titles. We've had 2 from each franchise. Yeah. Two games in 10 years from each one. Spider-Man, we've got 2 and a little subsequential one.
2.5. 3.
2.5.
We'll call it 3.
We've had things in the middle, like, I don't know. It's just one of them things where I think, yes, we're not quite getting the Little Big Planets anymore, but we got Astrobot. Yes, we don't get the Crash Bandicoot anymore because they don't own it, but we got Ratchet and Clank still.
Astrobot.
We got Ratchet and Clank still.
I feel like the PlayStation are actually making the moves I want them to, slowly. Because they start this generation off with Ratchet and Clank. Now they've brought in Astrobot. We've talked to death about like there's a bit of a dead era in this generation for PlayStation because of the games as a service push and then subsequent reversal.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like there's a bit of a gap. So now we're starting to see games coming back out. So yes, Ghost of Yotai has that kind of revenge plot line that is kind of in things like Ghost of Tsushima and God of War.
Yeah.
But there's like there's like a big gap between these games.
Yeah, but I also feel like
So
the gameplay changes it up a bit, the setting changes a bit. Like a Norse god taking his son to grieve over his mother's ashes and find their place in the world doesn't quite line up with a dude taking a girl through a zombie apocalypse because she's the cure. Like, yes, they're both, I guess, gritty, more grounded, but one's a god, one's just a guy, and I guess that gets back to our point about Yota at the beginning of like just genres and themes. The characters ultimately and the stories that they're telling and the combat and the gameplay and the worlds they're in are very varied throughout them. One's a guy swinging through the streets of New York like a spider, but that doesn't really link in with Horizon because it's because it's like an open world, maybe. But yeah, I think in the chat, Jin sums up says, I think the guy is just getting a bit older but doesn't realise it. And Sarge has also dropped in as well. Says, happy 6 years, can't believe it's been that long. Neither can we.
Nope.
But yeah, we have got some final news stories to wrap up as we wind down this bumper special of a show, Richie. Thankfully, with all the news, we can go a little bit longer because it is a live show. So, magic. Anyone listening after the fact, you're getting a special episode. One for you and me. Hopefully, it's going to be good. AAA Lord of the Rings game in development with a third-person gameplay. Embracer seemingly involved, and this comes from a leak from Insider Gaming, quoting, a new third-person Lord of the Rings game is in development, has been for some time. The game's scale is set to compete with Hogwarts Legacy. As for what the game will be, sources didn't want to say too much. However, it is going to be a third-person action game that's designed that way, and you'll expect a lot of familiarities. The game is partially going to be funded by the Abu Dhabi Investment Office, which are the publishers, the Embracer Group studios. We know that Embracer had lots of investment. We know Embracer own the Lord of the Rings video game IP, and amongst other things in that like convoluted setup they have over there. But Richie, we're big Lord of the Rings fans. I put it to you. It's been a while since we had Shadow of War.
Mm-hmm.
We've had the Gollum game since then. We've also had Tales of the Shire, which received middling reviews. And we also had Return to Moria, which is probably the best of the three, which is the survival crafting game underground, there's a first look up on the channel.
I completely forgot about.
Which is a good game. Like I enjoyed it from what I played of it. But it's been a while. Hogwarts Legacy seems like a good place to start in terms of capturing the magic. I, for one, if they can give me a game where I am allowed to explore the Middle-earth map, envisioned by Peter Jackson's Middle-earth, by the way, that's the biggest win of them all, and just give me some gameplay Assassin's Creed-esque in between that, which Shadow of War did to a degree, but it was very...
I was going to say, you want Shadow,
which
you
to a
want
degree,
Shadow of Mordor,
but it was very much a shot... I mean, there was nothing wrong with Shadow of Mordor. They just ran out of I guess, like IP. They moved on to Wonder Woman and then got shut down. They should have just made a third entry in that series. The Nemesis system is locked to this IP. I mean, in an ideal world, they should just broker a deal with EA and remake Two Towers and Return of the King into a Lord of the Rings action adventure where you just replay the movies, personally. But if they're going to go all Hogwarts Legacy, let me travel from the Shire all the way to Mordor, just like Frodo and Sam did, and go to all these locations, experience Minas Tirith, Osgiliath, Helm's Deep, whatever, in fully Hogwarts Legacy one-for-one movie realization. The game actually itself could be shit, but if I get to walk through that world and it looks that good as Hogwarts Legacy did, I'll be more than content with that. What would you like to see out of this? Because we know they're not going to leave the IP. I just want it to be looked after as much as other franchises deserve.
Yeah, I was leaning towards, because I'm not sure what I want them to do with Lord of the Rings, because I feel like it's been told and told and told. I'd like them to do something else, something different in the Middle-earth canon. Maybe go back to Second Age. Second Age could be interesting stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you know how Rings of Power is kind of talking about the rise of Sauron.
Yeah.
Maybe you take a different era and tell us a story that's only been told in the depths of Silmarillion or some of other Tolkien's writings and stuff, because there's a vast world of amazing stories out there that are kind of just locked in between, sometimes just in his letters.
Well, I guess it's similar to Harry Potter, right? Of that it was Hogwarts, but it wasn't attached to Dumbledore,
Yeah.
Harry Potter. That it was like, no, the places exist because they're buildings and towns and cities, and the world exists, but you're not attached to these particular school kids. You're not attached to these particular villains. It can be its own thing, and I can see both merits in that, and then also not, because people want to experience the movies because that is the ultimate, like the highest pinnacle of the storytelling. And if you market it as second age,
like
does
Morgoth,
but does that pull in your wider audience of fans? Like you're talking mainstream fans, you're going to want to capture, right? It's not going to be Tolkien diehards who, like, a Silmarillion game wouldn't probably really fly.
I'm not sure that Lord of the Rings is currently as mainstream as you make out. I feel like its consciousness in the mainstream is diminished more. So I think if you get a very solid looking game set around maybe the rise and fall of Morgoth, and then in the trailer you announce it as a Middle-earth game, you'll get that moment of the diehards, but the game itself should appeal to people who are not Lord of the Rings fans. I don't want just a crappy game with a Lord of the Rings skin over the top of it. Yeah. Because we've got some of them, and the shit. So do a good stuff. There's a huge list of stuff that you could cover. Mm-hmm. Get a very interesting story. Build the best game you possibly can, and then just let the game sell itself. Yeah.
I'm in this place where I think we had so many movie tie-in games, both mixed good and bad. And I just think if you could just take the audio from the movies and let me just replay every battle in the movies and replay the cutscenes in like Unreal Engine or something, I would be, the child of me would be more than content with that. You know, like they used to do in the EA ones, where it would be like, here's a clip, there's a bit of a voiceover from Ian McKellen, and then all of a sudden you're fighting Uruk-hai on the plains of Rohan, and it's only loosely based to a part of the movie, but it's fun. And you get points and you update your skill tree, and then you move on to the next chapter and you're in a new battle environment. You got new colleagues around you.
It's all about 100 copies of that game, unfortunately.
No. Hungry Moogle in the chat says, I'd love to see the Third Age remake, which is the kind of Final Fantasy-esque one. Yet another good shout. It's all tied up with EA probably, so I don't think we'll ever see it. There is a Lord of the Rings MMO on the way, so yeah. And Hungry Moogle also sent a $1 super chat for the Call of Duty joke that I made that you didn't respond to, Richie. No. But moving on, we've got, aside from Lord of the Rings, quick fire ones. There's a new prototype game possibly being remastered. There was some code on the Steam backend that got leaked, which showed that there was a project that isn't currently in existence called Prototype Fix. So that might mean we're getting another prototype game. Never played them. They kind of look like Infamous games, but from Activision. But I think Activision aren't in that business anymore. So
I don't really know anything about Prototype.
Again, you get superpowers and you go blow up shit in a city, and very much like Infamous, just without the kind of the duel back and forth. Just Cause Studio, Avalanche Studios, famous for Just Cause 1, Just Cause 2, Just Cause 3, and Just Cause 4. And also the wonderful Mad Max game that came out on PS4 that never got anywhere near as much love as it should have done.
You no one get the Platinum Trophy in.
You can't, unfortunately, no. They're taking the difficult decision to close some of the studios and restructure. The Liverpool studio in the UK has been the one that's been hit with closure, as fellow Avalanches have been opted to move to Malmö, Stockholm, while they restructure and make some layoffs as well. So their next title is supposed to be Contraband, which was the co-op smuggling game revealed in 2021 by Xbox and Bethesda Studios, but they've shown nothing of it since other than that CGI pan across the table trailer. So don't know what's going on with that. Again, this is a first-party studio pivoting to make online games as a service titles. We'll see where that one goes. A little quick annoyance of mine, the Golden Joystick Awards are coming up, as is Game Awards and a bunch of other stuff, and they've announced their candidates. I'm not going to go into every category, Richie. However, I am going to point out to you, Expedition 33, not in their Game of the Year conversation.
Have they played games this year?
It comes currently, their console Game of the Year nominees are Donkey Kong Bonanza, Monster Hunter Wilds, Ghost of Yotei, Death Stranding 2, Sonic Cross Worlds, and Mario Kart World.
I'm feeling there's some backhands here, because I'm loving Ghost of Yotei, but it hasn't been out for 2 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
It should not be. Death Stranding 2 is not out. It should not be in this list.
Death Stranding 2 came out in June.
Did it?
Yeah.
Oh, well, it's complete. I don't think. Well, there you go.
But Mario Kart World is not better than Mario Kart 8. It also does not deserve to be a game of the year. I don't think Donkey Kong Bonanza is by far better than Mario Kart World. In fact, Sonic Racing Cross Worlds is apparently better. But for Expedition 33 not to be in the game of the year conversation is wild. Absolutely wild. They also have a separate category for PC Game of the Year, which has Hollow Knight. So I guess that's how they get around Hollow Knight not being in the console Game of the Year. But again, Expedition not in that.
It's not PC exclusive.
It shows up other places for like best performance and soundtrack, but I don't understand how a game that can be in many other categories, like best visual design, Expedition 33 is in there.
Best story,
it's in there, but it can't make it to Game of the Year. It's also not in best indie game, best self-published indie game, which Expedition is. Doesn't make it in there.
I'd love to know what the criteria for, say, PC Game of the Year for me is, because for me that should be a game that is exclusively playable on PC because it requires PC peripherals to play.
But it's not.
Yeah.
Wild. So I just want to throw that one out there. Maybe the Game Awards will have it better structured this year. Sony is celebrating an anniversary with a new photo book. That looks gorgeous. Celebrating 30 years of PlayStation, but it's £95. Or if you want the deluxe edition, it's £245. Alongside that, they also announced some Reebok trainers. Which is such a shame when they price people out of this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Like such simple things, and it's like, oh, you know what? It's going to cost an absolute fortune.
The photo book. It's a book with some screenshots of games in it. Probably some like concept art and stuff. It would be cool to own, but it's not 100 quid. It's 30 quid. Absolutely. In my mind. Maybe, you know what? I'll give you max 50 because it's a collectible, but... Yeah.
And I want to bring it up and I want to exclusively point out because there's a guy I follow for quite some time. It's 2_old_4_gaming. And he publishes books. You can find them on Etsy. You can find them on his Twitter page. He does Kickstarters. He's got one for the visual history of the PSP. Unofficial guides. But when we talk about this costing £245, I've showed it before on the particular channel, but I have the PlayStation one. This is Sandeep Raj, who's the gentleman who does it. A PlayStation visual history. What did you just describe the book as, Richie?
It's screenshots from games, concept art.
I'm holding that up terribly to the actual
So
camera.
for audio listeners, Chris has shown me his book, and it's literally exactly what I described it should be.
It's got all the bits and pieces.
It looks gorgeous as well.
It is. It's a fantastic book. All of them are. I've got the PSP and the...
Yeah, but it's not PlayStation grey with the colours of like the sacred symbols as your bookmark.
Yeah, it's a beautiful book, and again, like it's got the games that made the important, the dates, the little timestamps, and everything right down to when it was all founded before PlayStation. When you've got the what was that? The Nintendo PlayStation.
The Nintendo PlayStation. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's fully realised. It's a proper hardback book. He's done the PlayStation 3 and he's done the Vita so far, and he's got the PSP one currently just finished its Kickstarter goal. So go support an independent creator who's not charging you an absolute arm and a leg for essentially the same thing. So do better, Sony. Do better. Price it better. It's just 400 pages of photos. It should not cost £245.
The thing is, this comes down to the sales team. They've looked at the price and structure for something like this and realised they're not going to sell much and they need to make profit. And 95 quid's the number they're falling on.
It's a book.
It's like,
it's a book.
I couldn't justify
it's paper and cardboard. It's a book.
You could buy some trainers, but they look terrible as well.
Yeah, they certainly do. And we do like to end every single show by talking about this day in video game history. And of course, not only is this our 6th anniversary, but we're recording on the 5th of October. Before we do that, though, we need to do a massive, massive shout out to Sarge, who's just dropped a super chat for £50. £50, that's almost £10 for every year we've done this. Sarge, you are an absolute legend. I don't think we could thank you enough. That's insane.
I'm lost for words.
That would pay for Game Pass for many, many months, almost, if it hadn't gone up in price. But yeah, that's amazing. Thank you very much, and happy birthday anniversary, I guess, to us. Indeed. You're amazing. Thank you very much to you and all of our guild heroes as well as we round out this week's super episode of the GamerGuild Podcast. Richie, 5th of October, any games stand out for you in this day in video game history?
Okay, let's have a look through this list. We have Orcs Must Die on the original on the Xbox 360. Call of Duty Infinite Warfare 9 years ago on PlayStation.
Not a good one, Infinite Warfare.
Assassin's Creed Mirage 2 years ago. Quite a quiet day, actually.
Yeah, I'm having a look. We got Alien Isolation on the 6th. So, all right. Silent Hill 2. Silent Hill 2 was a year ago. Already the remake. Bloober Team flies so much. Yeah, not really. 4 years ago, we got Back for Blood. And Far Cry 6. Far Cry 6 was this one. Again, more of the same. Far Cry got criticised at the time, but still was one of Ubisoft's biggest sellers that year. And then October 7th, we also have... I've lost it. Drive Club. Remember Drive Club on PS4? 11 years ago. No? Well, it's gone. They shut the studio down anyway, so that's the end of that. As we'll shut down this very episode. As we said, we're celebrating 6 years here at GamerGuildTV. This is the 112th episode of this particular podcast, but it is our 483rd consecutive one in a row where we've not missed a day. Sometimes we did more than one a week. Remember when we used to do that, Richie? We had PlayStation, Xbox... cloud gaming, side quests.
Yeah, I don't know how we had the time, to be honest.
Well, we didn't have kids, and apparently our adult responsibilities weren't as high.
And COVID was a thing as well, so nothing in the world was happening for like 2.5 years.
We couldn't go anywhere, but we couldn't do it without your amazing support. So thank you to everyone who stopped in the live chat for this week's episode. It will be up on regular feeds as normal. Myself and Richie are going to take a little bit of a break now, but then we're going to be back in playing some Lego Voyages this afternoon with you wonderful folks. So do rejoin us in a short while after we've broken had a bit of a lunch, and we'll see you again soon. But my name's been Chris.
And I've been Richie.
We've been the GamerGuild Podcast, and remember, folks, play wherever makes you the happiest. We'll see you on the next one. Goodbye.
Bye.